Oh, minutes person. Can we get a volunteer for minutes?
So I'm recording now.
So I can take the transcript from last meeting and this meeting. I didn't save it last meeting. So Amy had the good suggestion of generating the transcript, but I did not grab it before I left the meeting. So if it's available, probably have to go to the official
It
Zoom
should
account to get it. Because
Yeah, whoever Zoom account this is should be able to
yeah,
download it
It's also on YouTube.
with the full but you need to play it live. You couldn't just download the transcript, right? I don't think you could on YouTube. Ray, could you look into that? I know that I've got a Zoom account at work, and you can go in and essentially download the transcript from the file if it's saved up in the cloud.
We can download, so it's because it is our Zoom account, we can download the transcript.
Yeah, I think you should be able to go online and you can download like the video and the audio separately.
Okay.
But I guess so given that we need somebody to help for today. I know Matt's done it a lot. Jonas done it a couple times. Chris or Sanjay could I interest one of you in this? The other thing too is like it is not a transcript, right? It's like the minutes can be a page if we can keep it that concise.
Rock, paper, scissors, Chris.
I'm really not your guy there, man. Amherst High 91.
Rock, paper, scissors, Chris.
Just beat me in rock, paper, scissors, and you don't have to do it.
Sanjay wins tonight. You can win tonight. I've been to every meeting. I've never missed a meeting. Perfect attendance gets me something.
Okay.
Sounds good.
You good?
Thank
Let's
you.
and yeah, let's just we can just figure this out offline next time so we don't have any awkwardness. All right. Thank you, Sanjay.
Thank you.
For what it's worth, like I said, today's will be an easy one to do.
All right. Okay, so we have now started. I know the first, so welcome. Actually, do we have anybody here from? All right, no one aside from us. So for anyone who's listening online after the fact on YouTube, welcome. This is the September Rec Commission call. We had to reschedule due to the holiday. First item on the agenda is minutes. I know Jonas, you're still working through that, and that's fine. So we will just punt on that action item for now. Since there's nobody in the attendee list, no need for public comment. Brings us right into topics for discussion. So for folks who haven't seen it, Cherry Hill Working Group, CPAC. So basically finding a representative and then talking about projects and then updates on prior discussion topics. So Ray, you want to get us started with Cherry Hill?
Sure. This is, I think, mostly a formality, but the process of we're conducting interviews for the working group of the people who have put in already. What the town manager has asked for in terms of the two positions from the Rec Commission is that we essentially that we nominate and select two people so that they don't have to be interviewed by the town manager. And so we want to formalize that
Sanjay
today.
and Chris.
Thanks, guys.
All right. All right. Second, all in favor, Sanjay and Chris?
Can I vote for Sanjay?
Yeah, you can vote for yourself. All right. Looks like we're unanimous, Ray. Sanjay and Chris as our reps. Thanks. Thank you both.
And that's nice and easy. If anybody wanted to come in and run against them after all the waiting that they've done, then that would be certainly possible. Confirmation noted.
All right, CPAC representation. We talked about this a little bit last go round. Matt has been doing this for years. He is unable, and also he's done it for years. So looking to get somebody to, actually, this is your update, Ray, but looking to get somebody to step up on the committee, or from our committee to join that committee.
I
Matt,
can give a brief description
you.
of what's required if you like.
please.
So I've done it for the last 3 years. It's actually pretty impactful, I think, because you're taking like $2 to $3 million and you're spending it. So it's kind of fun in that way. The involvement as the committee has representatives from conservation, planning board, recreation committee, and something to do with housing. I don't know the exact committee to do with housing. And then there's also at-large representatives who are just nominated by the town. So the meetings kick off sometime like after Thanksgiving, and then they run weekly. So the first series of meetings, actually, it might be before. I can check on the exact timing, but the meetings generally run weekly. The first few weeks presentations from the people who apply. So basically the way it works is it's a grant system. So there's a grant process. People write a grant, submit it to the town. The town then sends it out to the committee beforehand for questions. There's a sort of a written question and answer section process. And then there's presentations and live questions. And after the presentations and live questions in December, the committee goes into deliberation, which usually takes 2 or 3, maybe 4 weeks if it's very convoluted, but normally 2 or 3 weeks, where the committee basically decides which proposals to approve and how much to approve them for, and basically spend the money and vote on it. And every year I've done it, it's been complete by before Christmas. And then sometimes there's another meeting in the spring if there's some special thing comes up, but generally it's those like 6 or 7, maybe 8 weeks, weekly meetings.
How long is each meeting? How many hours?
Probably like 2 hours each meeting.
Yeah, I've been on it as well. I think it depends, right, Matt, if there are, how many applicants there are, 15, sometimes 20, because they get an opportunity to present. Then you have the deliberation. You've got to, and you do have work to do, like homework as well, reviewing their application so that you can raise questions to them as they present.
And the meetings are generally on Thursday. Or in the past 3 years that I was on it, the meetings were always on Thursdays.
Yeah, I got enough of golf.
Yeah, fair. Jonas, do you have an interest? And I'm not putting you in the spot. If you don't, that's fine too.
I'm warming to the idea, I guess. It seems like there's no one else is stepping forward, is what I'm hearing on this committee.
Well, I'll say if you can't do it, I will. But I agree with Matt that I've done it before. It is very satisfying, and you actually learn a lot about what's happening in the town through that too. It's a great commission, great committee.
That's why we're beating away all the other candidates. Sorry, yeah, fine. I'll do it.
Thanks, Jonas.
You and Jonas,
Yeah.
if you are nominated and it's approved by the commission, then at least early you and I can talk about it. I thank you, Matt, for the oversight as to what what those responsibilities will be. I would probably have a conversation with you a little bit about it before you start, and then get out of your way. I haven't, like, Matt and I never sat down to talk about his role inside the commission. I think that's intentional on my part, because I think the commission should be operating with some independence from my steering. It's a rec commission. I mean, it's a rec commission representative on that commission. Uh, uh, but it's not like you're trying to push specifically our agenda through. You know, you'll be seeing things and weighing cases outside of us also. So I don't want to put my thumb on the scale. But
Yeah.
if you need anything, if you need any help connecting you in or anything, please let me know.
If I might sound non-committal now, but if I commit to it, I'll do it well. So
Good.
I have
Um,
committed to it, so
Do we have to nominate someone now, or are we just?
yeah, let's do it. Can I get a motion?
I nominate Jonas to be the
All right.
Recreation Commission representative to the CPA committee.
Chris, can I take your second? I saw your hand up. All right. All in favor of Jonas? I've got aye. All right. We are unanimous for Jonas.
Okay.
Cool. All right. Next up is CPA project discussion. Is this Amy, Ray combined, or is this more collaborative? What did you intend for this, Ray?
This is collaborative. It can
Okay.
be a lot. Like if at our last meeting, I mentioned that
Yep.
it would be, I thought it would be good if you all had any ideas, if you all wanted to push anything to think about that and
Yeah.
if there are any CPA requests. Amy and I have recently met with town staff to sort of discuss some of where we're heading.
Okay.
The applications are due, those proposals are due at the end of the month, September.
All right. Chris, I know you'd sent an email out with some ideas relative to the pool. Do you want to share some of those?
Yeah, I mean, it was relative to the pool rate for it. Just like lately in the last couple of years, and this is indoor pool, middle school pool. It just seems like, and I don't know if it qualifies for it. Just significant, repairs to the pumps, needing a new liner. Just and the amount of downtime that that area loses. I didn't know if that was a type of thing, because it's obviously a fixed item where it's not like a it's a permanent structure that the school needs, the swimming department needs, and it just seems like when they lose it, it's a significant loss, and nobody seems to sometimes know where that money comes from to fix it.
To follow on that also, I forgot which one of you all raised the question about the schools and using CPA to sort of fix some of our needs with the schools, and because we're not a priority there. There are some structural needs there. If they wanted to partner with us on those pool needs, then we could conceivably
Right.
put an ask list in front of them and see what CPA thinks.
Yeah, I definitely think it should be within the scope of the CPA, because the track project, for example, at the Amherst High School, was funded partly by the CPA, or largely by the CPA.
And
But the request would have to at least have regional school involvement in it. Amy can't write the request just herself.
I think the interesting thing with that too is because it's a regional asset, like when it came to the track, we had not only the town of Amherst asking for CPA funds, but there was actually Shutesbury, Pelham, and Leverett also contributed some CPA funds because it's a regional asset. And so I'm not sure what that process looks like, and it might depend on what the ask is. But we do have to kind of be sensitive to in the middle school, it is a regional asset, and so it's more than just Amherst that should be contributing to a potential project there.
It should, but it doesn't necessarily have to, right? If
Fair.
we just say, look, Amherst will foot the bill for just to make sure that it goes through, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I know, Chris, you had kind of a list of items, so I guess just relative to the actual sort of sausage making here in terms of writing that proposal, do we have do we have enough information to sort of pull something together?
I think I can get more information quickly
Okay.
enough to put that together. I just didn't want to spend the time doing it if it's not like, I mean, if we don't get anything for it, I get that part. But like, if it's an ask, then I don't mind putting some time together to get that. So you're looking for like budget type of rough budget numbers?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the idea, and then not to put you on the spot, Amy, but we need you to help kind of size it, right? From a resource, from a dollar perspective, and just your own FTE perspective, right? To be able to provide
Yeah.
some guidance so that we could figure out how that might fit in with CPA.
Yeah. And I think partly I'm at a disadvantage because if an email got sent out, I don't think I am on the email list that saw that. So I don't quite understand the scope of what you're envisioning here. But I think if we have a scope and this is something that CPA is interested in, then we can work together to try to, that the Rec Commission is interested in, we can work together to try to get a proposal by the end of the month for that.
And Amy, is the maintenance under of that pool under your department, or is there a school department?
It's under our department.
Okay, so you would be the person to really understand what would make sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, Chris, maybe you could just flip that. I think you may have just sent it to me or Ray. I know we can't communicate via email together.
That's fine.
So if you can, just get that over to Amy, that'd be great.
You want me to get it to Amy?
I'm sending it to her.
Sounds like that makes sense.
Ray, if you forward it to me, then maybe you and I can discuss it because
I'm sending it to you right now.
that'd be great.
All right, but if you need help with it, Ray or Amy, just feel free to.
One of the
That's great.
sources in the conversation, it was generated because schools and town, Denise and Adam Feltman sort of discussed needs in that pool and what could be put in there. Adam and his office would be involved in our process here also. So we already have some of that conversation going with them.
Okay. Right, but the CPA potentially could give some money to that, right? I mean, you're having this.
I mean, the list that Denise sort of compiled.
Yep.
Denise came up with, that was out of
Right.
a conversation she had with them.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I didn't just think of that list from there because I don't, it's her kind of wish list, and I mean, talking to you and her, and at times it seems like that it's not always down, but when it goes down, it's not a cheap adventure, So, I mean, is CPA, is that anything to do with, I'm just using an example, like a Cherry Hill, a bridge or something like that, because that thing, not this year because it's been very dry, but like washes out. Is that type of thing with that? Or is that just?
It can't go towards maintenance.
Well, it has.
Sorry, you may.
Bridge maintenance is a regular CPA grant for the conservation or the it's listed as actually recreation, but it goes to the conservation department. So, like for example, last year, the CPA granted $150,000 to the conservation department for bridge projects. Now, it generally means bridge reconstruction
or improvements, right?
Right.
I mean, we can't, because you can't use it to get somebody to like mow a lawn or something, right? There are like
correct
some limitations around the maintenance.
But if you have a bridge that's broken and needs to be reconstructed, then that kind of thing is funded.
And I'm using Andy's example, but you can't, like a lawnmower, something like that is out. That's not
the capital to purchase a lawnmower.
Yeah.
I
don't know enough about it. I don't want to just throw bad darts at the board. I'm just trying to.
I think the capital to purchase a lawnmower probably is allowed. Generally the way it works is you write the proposal, you submit it, and the town will say it's allowed or not allowed.
Okay.
But like for example, purchasing benches, there was a proposal to provide like benches in all the parks around town, and that was allowed.
I think it's sort of capital versus expense.
Right. I'm just using an example for the brand new track, which seems to be getting, from the update I heard right now, we'll be getting both sod fields both fields will be sodded this fall and drainage, like an autonomous lawnmower, that type of thing could be potentially an okay item.
As far as I know.
Okay.
I don't know if Amy has a different opinion.
I don't know totally into the weeds on that. I know there's some discussion on permanent items versus movable items, because I
Right.
know we were even looking at, like, say, benches at the baseball fields versus bleachers, which don't move. And I remember that was a distinction that was made. So, but I like your idea, Matt, of let's come up with a list and Ray and I can talk to the experts in the town that understand these lines better. And that's going to cross some of these things out as not eligible. But I think it's better for us to start with, here's the wish list of things that you guys would like to see. And ultimately it's going to shrink down based on, not fully understanding all of the bounds of it, but it should still give us, some projects that you guys, really want to advocate for.
Sounds great. Do we have more ideas from folks? You had mentioned bleachers. That's one. I mean, I know nobody wants to spend any more money on that track, but we don't have bleachers,
Huge.
right? Like that is not an aspect. I think that
It's
Matt, yeah.
support.
I think it's probably it's until the project is finished, we won't know what got included and what didn't get included, because there was a contingency and there's an ongoing discussion about what will actually get done and what won't get done.
I didn't even think that was a line item though. Do you remember? Or I guess could we just add it as like the big list, and then Amy, that could just, maybe that's squashed immediately when you say, yeah, Matt was right, and we might actually have the money for it.
I feel like the latest that I heard from the track, just as an aside, was that so far things are under budget. And so they were looking at, like, some of the things like irrigation that was a hope, but not a need. I know that they're starting to talk about some of that stuff and being able to incorporate it. So that we're in a good place with that, is my understanding.
Sounds good. I am, relative to some of the pet projects we talked about before, yeah, I'd be interested in trying to do something to install a disc golf course. Right. So that's like having land, but then also, doing the one-time clearing of land, whatever, to get that organized. But whatever we would need to do to be able to install a permanent disc golf facility. I'm also wondering, I know there's outstanding money on the pickleball side. I feel like I don't really have a good sense of where we are in any of that right now. How whether we're getting closer, whether we've been able to put any time towards it. And I know we're all busy, but like, is there something else that the CPA committee might be able to provide us that could jumpstart that?
So
yeah, sorry.
not to hijack your meeting, but I do want to go back. I think pickleball, yes, let's talk about that. But I want to just get back to disc golf, because I'm curious, like, when we submit something to, for potential funding with CPA, it needs to have a little more specificity. So I'm curious if you've thought about, like, where this could potentially be, or kind of have a little more focused vision on that. And then, pardon my ignorance, don't we have is it a temporary disc golf course at Cherry Hill? So yeah. I'm trying to, like, gather more info on that one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, the thought that had crossed my mind originally was I'm drawing a blank on the golf course that
Hickory Ridge.
Hickory Ridge, right? And I know there's walking trails there, I know there's solar panels there, but it's a smaller footprint than a regular golf course, right? So that seemed to me like that might be a good spot to look, but really, I think it's any sort of large enough piece of public land maybe something off Station Road, right? Like I think we talked about that as maybe a pickleball location. I haven't looked lately to see what large contiguous swaths of
Okay.
property are underutilized because it's a very low footprint. And I think the ask would be basically to clear out essentially the path for it, right? Which could involve some tree removal, could involve some grading, would be installation of like concrete pads as tees, signage, that sort of thing. But it's a relatively low use. And then, we do have those temporary holes that we got that Ray put up in, or you guys put up in Cherry Hill last year, but that's unfortunately kind of off season. And I know that we were hoping to actually run a tournament there, and I imagine that would be a difficult thing to do, in winter months.
And so it sounds to me, based on what you're saying, that like there's enthusiasm for this, but we don't have such a distinct plan that we can go through and say, here's the place, here's the cost, here's the plan, here's what we want to do. And so maybe the CPA ask for this year is some sort of a study to or an evaluation to have somebody look at the different places.
It might be if
Um,
no other work has happened on it to date, it probably would need to be that.
Right.
I mean, if you give me a couple days, I can do a quick look through the GIS system and try to identify a couple places and flip them over. And then you could just say, makes sense, makes no sense. And then depending on what comes out of that, make that call.
Okay.
I think the capital it's basically the clearing and concrete pads.
Okay.
So I don't think it would be too large of an ask relative to some of the other things we've done before.
Yeah, I mean, you're not talking about clearing 10 acres. You're talking about a couple trees in a couple spots potentially.
Potentially, right? And a lot of it's frankly more like understory stuff, right? Trees are actually part of the game. It's
What
just
What about
trees are part of our golf game too.
yeah, big part of my game.
Right.
What about Groff Park, the outfield of Groff Park? I mean, I don't know how much you need, but
Well, you
Yeah.
need some trees, you need some brush. I mean, it's
also Groff Park that's a big area back there. The
Yeah, I
softball.
mean, I think ideally you're in a bit more of a rural setting because I don't think it's good to have it being played adjacent to a park where, a stray frisbee could go land in someone's picnic or hit some cyclist who's
I mean, I mean the east side of it.
East of that playing ridge.
The softball diamond goes out to this huge empty
the
area.
pasture. Is that town?
that Amherst College on that.
I don't know for sure. I don't know that that's our property.
And I meant using part of that mown. I don't know how much the softball needs for the outfield, but just you definitely won't be hitting
No, not up there. You won't.
Right.
out there.
Okay. All right. So I'll send you some thoughts on that, Amy.
That's great. That's great. I'd love to hear that.
Cool. Any other ideas? So we've talked about stuff for the pool. We've talked about potentially bleachers. We've talked about potentially disc golf. We've talked about, I guess, the pickleball piece. So where are we on that again?
Ray?
We are, but we're going to end up having a conversation. I don't know if we're set yet to officially, but some of you all probably are aware of where we're looking.
No, I'm not. I was out on that. Where are we looking?
I don't want to share with you all officially, and you all meaning the public here and the commission, before we talk to the community. It's important for us that they find out through Dave and I have already done some outreach. We're planning more outreach into the community in terms of where we are going to end up making the next phase of our push here in town. there is a hope that we can move that into this, move some security in that process into the CPA round. But as this is a as the commission here is a public body, we don't want to share that with the public before the community knows.
But you have a new venue in mind?
We are targeting
Okay.
a space in town.
We're exploring the possibility, and partly that's looking not only at where nearby houses are, but also like talking to the neighbors that might be impacted, and really just trying to, part of what we learned a couple of years ago was getting ahead of that conversation by talking to the neighbors and, kind of getting people on board is the easier route to go. And so we're kind of going through all those due diligence phases at this point.
Sounds great. I guess based on where you are in that phase, does it make sense to have an ask available? Those conversations go well. We've already got the 125 or something that's been sitting there for a couple of years. Would it make sense to have another ask in case, again, it's all great, and then we just need $200,000 to put in?
So I think what Dave is partly what he was envisioning was, yes, we have that. I think it was 120 a couple of years ago. We couldn't quite recall if we used some of that funds, not a ton, but we might have used 10 or 20 grand just for the temporary lining that we have at Mill right now. Either way, there is some funds. And I think what Dave is hoping is at least we're in enough of a place that maybe we can ask for some of that, understanding that this might be a 2-year process to fully make it all happen, but also to ask for some funds and start the project in a way that really shows that we are moving forward, because we know we do have a community that's really motivated to see something there. So,
Okay, so you are envisioning having an ask ready to go.
yeah.
You're preparing to make an ask this year, yes.
And partly that's on Ray and Dave doing, a couple more steps in that due diligence. So, understand those conversations and those outreaches are they're ongoing at this point.
A lot of sense. All right, so that's 4 potential items. Any other ideas?
Ray, do you want to talk about the stuff that, from a town side we were looking at, just so that we can get the rec commission's thoughts on those?
I can pull that up, certainly.
Okay.
One moment.
And then will we have sort of the standard, as Matt mentioned, there's kind of a standard amount for trail improvements and things like that? Is that also?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, to do the overview a little bit, there's the 4 different buckets, right? And so one of the buckets is just, it's like open space. And so typically that's where the trail maintenance and the bridge improvements and all of that. Typically there's not a lot of competition for that bucket, if you will. I think they're also looking at, I think last year we approved some funds to start doing graphic designs to have, nice signage and everything like that at the different parks, similar to like that Kendrick Park sign that's out there. So last year there was funds to do a lot of the design work on that, and I think to make a couple of those signs. And so that'll be for conservation areas and recreation areas. So there might be an ask this year to be able to produce more of those for more of the parks, but kind of in that same design of the beautiful sign at Kendrick Park. So that's the open space portion. But then there's the recreation portion, which, Ray, did I buy you enough time to pull that up?
Yeah, I've got it now. The recreation portion is the two, what is it? It's the pavilion, the lower level Groff Pavilion. It is the bathhouse, the War Memorial Bathhouse, of course, and Amy, Dave, and other town staff will be following up with the contractors at War Memorial about our options there shortly, and but just what our our ask will look like to support what we have for War Memorial right now.
Yeah, do you want me to talk about these
Sure.
quickly?
Sure.
So the two, I mean, beyond pickleball, which we just talked about, the other two things that the town at least was brainstorming on. So the pavilion and like the lower Groff pavilion and access path, that's one that, you know, last year we had an ask for doing all of the due diligence. So the surveying, the delineation, all of that stuff. We're not far enough along in that process to have a design to be able to go to CPA for that this year. So it's one that will probably get kicked to next year's CPA ask. But, you know, we're just kind of continuing that in the conversation. So that one's kind of getting punted one more year. The War Memorial Bathhouse, you know, the internal staff, we've looked at downsizing that, stripping that down to what is the absolute minimum that we need to meet the requirements of number of, you know, fixtures for the number of bathers that we have. And then, you know, a place for the lifeguards to not be out on the deck. And that's about it, you know. And even that stripped down cost is still beyond what we have gotten from CPA in the past 2 years. So we're in a position where now the town has to figure out if this project is going to move forward. And if it is, do we do another CPA ask this year? Do we look at other grant opportunities? You know, how do we?
Do you know how short we are?
It depends on the option.
The option.
Yeah.
So we're between 1 and 1.5 million shy,
Okay.
unfortunately. Like I wanted that number to be better than it was, and I kind of stared at it for a while and lost a lot of faith that the project was going to go anywhere with that. But Dave is encouraging us to at least have the conversations, whether we go for, you know, park grants or land water conservation grants or something like that
Supplement our
to supplement, because we've been really great with getting CPA support, but we can't. I don't even think anyone thinks it's fair to ask CPA to cover all of the cost, but
Yeah.
we're not going to get there without, you know, without something
Yeah.
happening. So I say that to say town staff is planning to meet next week to really start to brainstorm on what's the approach and how do we move this forward, or do we all just, you know, move on and focus on other things?
Okay.
So that's where we're at. Ray, I don't know if you want to add anything to that, but
No, that's
Okay.
fair. I mean, the deadline, the thing I'd add is that the deadline is not that far away. And so
Yeah.
we have the heat of those proposals, the deadline for proposals. It's an early deadline. The CPA is an early deadline for us, and it's a deadline that we have to obviously meet.
There was budget numbers in those pool ideas also. If you refer to that email, there was budget numbers in there. Just so
Oh, great. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
That's super
I just found the
helpful.
email, so there was some budget numbers in there.
Great.
I did just share.
Jonas,
Great.
do you have a question?
Yeah, a question. I think several meetings ago, we talked about the pavilion, the Groff Pavilion. I think there was money allocated to a study survey. Has that money been used?
So that money became available as of July 1st. So we haven't gotten that done yet.
Hasn't been put in motion yet. Hasn't
Yeah, like we're in the process of reaching out to surveyors and getting on their schedule to kind of start taking those steps, but that hasn't happened yet.
What's the impetus for the project? Was that pavilion getting a lot of use by people, and then, hey, sorry, someone can't get down, grandpa can't get down to be in a party. And then the other question is, are there accommodations to the east of the playground that could be used? And I don't know what the budget I don't know how much money this project is going to take, but I'm just
Right.
wondering,
No, I think those are all fair questions. And I'm glad that you're going to be the person on the CPA committee with these sorts of thoughtful questions. This is great. Yeah, so just to kind of answer some of them. So the lower pavilion, my understanding is a handful of years ago at least, the town got some funding. I can't recall if it was through CPA or through a capital request to improve that lower pavilion. But the thing that's holding up that improvement is accessibility. The town does have a standard that we need to make all of our facilities accessible. And right now, it's not at all. If we were willing to let go of a second, like I do think Groff is super heavily used, especially the spray park, the playground. There are, on a hot summer day, there are so many people there, and having space undercover is at a premium. I mean,
So this is additional context. I think I didn't realize I thought the plan was just to build the ramp down to what is already there. And
Right.
I walked there a fair amount of time, but it sounds like there will be improvements down there. And
yes,
if we're going to do improvements, we need to make it be accessible. That's
correct,
totally different. And I think that sounds,
correct.
and you're
We-
right. That's a
We
lot of
would,
use.
Yeah,
we would like for that lower pavilion to be as central to, the Groff experience as it should be. And both in terms of the users and in terms of maintenance, DPW can't get down there for things that it's
Yeah.
really difficult access for us. And so,
And-
finding out how to make that work is the
And the
ultimate
river's
goal.
there. It's a nice amenity. So that makes, I was just thinking it was like going to stay the way it is, which is kind of this nondescript, couple picnic tables. And that you were going to build this huge expensive ramp to get people down there. So
Yeah.
it's going to be more, more thought out. It sounds like it's way more engineered.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, that being said, I will say that there are some on our staff who feel like, in order to build something down to that lower area, which then frankly, it's right in the middle of where, like, if someone's going to toss a frisbee down there, you've got a pavilion right in the middle. If someone's going to toss a baseball down there, you've got a pavilion right in the middle. And it is in the riverfront. It's super close, so it poses a bunch of challenges that way. So there is some faction of people that are saying, rather than improving that, does it make sense to pull it up to build something undercover, which people truly want, but make it closer to where the playground, the splash pad, all of that is. And so, in a way that I think some of your questioning was really getting at, is it worth the all of the hurdles to continue to have that pavilion down there in the riverfront so close, with all of the challenges that has versus moving it up? I don't know the answer to that. Some of that I'm hoping with the due diligence and the survey this year, it's going to provide additional context to help us really decide what the best next steps are.
Does that flood out ever?
I don't think it has in a while, but certainly, it's a pretty flat area down there above the
been there.
riverbank. So,
Right.
yeah.
So when money is kind of earmarked for that, you said it was earmarked a while ago. Is that persist, or can that be then, hey, we realized either A, it could be redistributed for an entirely different need, the pool, Chris's idea for the pool, or could it more easily kind of be redeployed within Groff Park since it's in the general area? And some of this I'm going to learn with this.
Yeah.
We
I'm-
can't repurpose the money and take it for what if
Yeah.
CPAC gives us the thumbs up for project X, we can't then later on say we don't want project X, we're going to take and put it in project Z.
Yeah.
But there is, like, if we're not using it at all, they can take it back. They can claw that money back. But if there's in process, it's not like there's a deadline of this fiscal year that you have to spend all the money by. That's where we are to these other
Money
projects.
can be released back into the pool and then
Yeah.
and it gets bid out, just like it's unassigned and it's part. Okay.
Well, then it's up for grabs in the next CPA round, really. They typically, much as there's not a hard deadline, they do typically, after like 3 or 4 years, if there isn't movement, they do typically say, hey, can we have that back in the fold? So there isn't a hard deadline, but there certainly are soft deadlines that we have to, like, even every year, any CPA project that extends past a year, we have to submit a report that proves that we plan to spend those funds and kind of put some information and some thought into that, to try to keep it so it doesn't linger forever. So, so there is a balance, I guess.
All right.
Cool.
Was that the complete list then that you all were talking through?
That's recreation. I can certainly share some of the ideas outside of recreation, the conservation and housing and historic preservation stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like if you have a document, it would be great just to
Okay.
send it to us so we
can-
have.
I can send that around.
Yeah, so I think just to the extent people might approach us from town and we have a sense of the things that we're asking for. And then also just curious too, if from an order of magnitude of perspective, right? If there are some projects that you all have already started or working on that are, pool house, $1 million. I know you're not asking for that, but like realistically, we can come up with ideas, but if we've got 15 things already that we're asking for, it's good to have a sense of where things fit in. And I think it'll be especially useful for Jonas going into this to have that at the ready.
Yeah, I think that was like part of the conversation today was also understanding, the broad scheme of CPA is we have between like 1.2 to kind of 1.5 in any given year, just based on previous years. If they have allocated, like if they bonded certain things, then some of the funding is allocated for a few years after that. So we're looking at 1.2 to 1.5, kind of generally. And I think my understanding is at least you have each of those four buckets, the historical preservation, open space, affordable housing, and recreation, each of them at minimum have to get 10% of that. And then the balance, any of them can be more than 10%, but at least has to be 10% in each of those buckets.
Yeah.
And so, it does limit. So I like it's a good question, Andrew, of just kind of like, what is the town looking at and how much is available and how do we make sure that we're putting forward proposals that are reasonably, that we're not like fighting with each other or,
Right.
like that we're kind
Yeah.
of working towards the same purpose in general.
We should make sure at the next meeting too that, the bids will have been submitted at that point. So we'll know that just we walk through all of those, and to the extent that this group wants to prioritize them, we talk about that, and Jonas has that going into the conversations.
Yeah. I feel like that's typically, I mean, Matt could speak to this a little better, but that's typically part of the process when, $2 million or $3 million worth of projects are in there. And especially when many are from the town, they will often come back to the town and just say, hey, if you need to prioritize, if we can only do 2 out of the 3, which are the 2 most important? Or, are there ways that you can shave the budget so we can do as many of these as possible? And so at times that's where we asked for this much, but maybe we modify the ask so that they don't have to make some really hard decisions about supporting one project over another. So it is kind of this evolution as we move forward.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. That said, we're counting on you, Jonas, to get us all this money. So,
Got it.
all right. It sounded like we probably heard from everybody, at least relative. If you do think of something, just know that the clock is ticking very loudly at this point for the proposals to get submitted. All right. Any updates on prior discussion topics, or let's just say that old business, new business, anything, Ray, on that front?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I think mine continue to be the pickleball, disc golf, Cherry Hill. I guess the Do we have a sense of when that first Cherry Hill meeting would be? I believe that when Dave talked to us last month, there was talk about having like a report done this year.
Progress report, and
Yeah.
the schedule is progress report in like, I think early January
Okay.
on the turn of the year, and then the final report isn't due until the end of the fiscal year.
Okay. All right. But when do we think the first meeting might be? I know we still have to find 3 other members, but is this something that's going to happen this month or next month?
Our interviews are in the next couple weeks. Our interviews for the commission, for the working group, are in the next couple weeks. I anticipate that we'll probably be starting the meetings right after that.
Ray, just a question. How many people put in?
I don't know the exact number. I think I
Yeah.
know it's more than the we'll be able to be selective.
Right.
All right. Great. Well, I think we are all done then. So thank you for being flexible and meeting on the second Tuesday instead of the first Monday, but next meeting should be on the first Monday of October. And anybody who's got homework, getting info to Amy, whatever, and Ray, try to bang that out quick for their benefits. So, all right.
And Amy,
Well,
I'll follow up with you.
Ray, I don't have Amy's email, so can I just email her? But do I need anything else for you guys? Because
I sent Amy the email with that I did share with
Okay.
with Amy.
because
Yeah.
those had budget numbers in it too.
Yeah, no, that's great. So I think Ray and I can kind of connect on that and put some thoughts together on that. So thank you for,
All right, well, if you
for
need
providing
anything,
that,
Thanks for
Chris.
pushing it out.
I just that
And
was a
now I've
forward.
got your email if I have follow-up questions too.
Okay, perfect.
So,
All right.
thank you.
All right,
Well,
thank
then,
you.
Let's adjourn. Thanks everybody, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.